What's going on, guys? I am Toxic Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. So today I just wanted to jump in and do a little guide here for the new Cell Max event. It's been out for about a week at this point, and it is a very, very difficult event. I know that plenty of people are struggling to beat this right now, so I wanted to do a helpful little guide here and go over some of the best units to use for that event. You will have to take this advice with a grain of salt, because I have not actually beat the event yet myself. Unfortunately. I haven't had enough time to sit down and grind it, especially because I do want to get it on video, so, I'm only able to grind it when I am on YouTube time. But anyway, let's hop right in here and start checking out some of these units. Most of the units that we're going to be looking at today are int type. That makes a huge difference because obviously the first two phases of this Cell Max event are not that difficult. The STR phase and the physical phase here are pretty dampened. They're not really that bad. They do kind of give you that grace period to be able to set up, get your rotations fixed, and potentially stack a little bit with some stacking units and stuff before you get to the hard phase. But once you hit this third phase, this tech phase is absolutely insane. It hits so freaking hard. So yeah, definitely having a lot of int types is going to be helpful here. Okay, so the first unit that we want to take a look at is int Hercule. This is probably a surprising, first up card. The reason I put him first is because I think, in my opinion, this guy is the best unit in the game against this event. Because of his passive. He's got a high chance to evade. Now, dodging is a huge mechanic that you're able to use in this Cell Max fight, because he does not cancel dodge. Like some of the other, harder red zone stages that cancel dodge, you don't have to deal with that here. You can actually dodge him. And because you're not limited to 3 attempts per day, it's worth the RNG sometimes to just keep running it back with a full dodge team and, see what you can make happen. So, yeah, so his high chance to dodge is really useful. And then on top of that, if he is getting hit with attacks, he doesn't take that much damage either, because he's reducing his damage received by 50% up to 90, depending on where your HP is at. And I have found that if your HP is like at around the 50% mark, so maybe he's at like his 70% damage reduction, then he can actually tank Cell Max's super attack. For about like 200k or something like that. So you can definitely survive some of those super attacks, even if he gets hit with them. So yeah, this guy is absolutely insane. And then another thing I wanted to mention too is that even if you're using his SSR performs pretty much just as good. He's only got the medium chance to evade, so he's not going to be dodging quite as many attacks, but then the percents only go down by 10% for his passive, and he has basically the same passive aside from that, so he can actually be very, very useful too. So if you do have copies of the SSR as well, you can run both of them on the team, and then have that protection every single turn. So that can be a very, very solid option. Just keep in mind that these Hercules don't really do any damage, so especially if you're running both of them, then you're only going to have 4 units on the team to be able to dish out damage, which means you're going to be fighting that cell for a lot longer. So that can be the downside of using these guys. But yeah, definitely one of, if not the best unit in the game, on global at least right now, for this event. So yeah, Hercule, that is the first one we wanted to go over. The next one here is the God Coup. So the Tech God Coup here just got his Extreme Z Awakening during the 7th year anniversary, which added this wonderful piece to his kit. Reducing damage received when there is a movie boss or Pure Saiyans category enemy. I mean, I suppose it added the Pure Saiyans portion, but we didn't really need that part, because this event is against a movie boss. So he's going to be reducing damage received by 77% against this Cell Max for all 3 phases. So he is another unit that I believe he needs to super attack first and get this defense raise, and then certainly does need to collect some key spheres to get some additional defense, and then if you get the 2 or more rainbow key spheres, he gets this additional defense. If you're able to give him all of these stacks, then he'll be able to tank Cell Max's super attack as well. He is only type neutral, so you do need to make sure to get him I would say the most important part right here is to get him the 2 or more Rainbow Key Spheres so that he can get this 77% defense. If you're getting him that, and then he raises defense with his super attack, he should be fine to tank some of those supers as well. But obviously he's not going to take any damage in the first 2 phases, and then in that final phase he won't take any damage from the normal attacks, which is still a threat, especially if you don't have type advantage. A lot of units can get hit very, very hard by that Cell Max's, even just their normal attacks. He can be hitting you for like, 50k, 70k, at a time, and that can be very, very detrimental. You can definitely die just off getting hit with his normals, even if you're prepared to deal with the super attacks. So yeah, this guy is a very good option as well. Okay, so now we're going to get into the slew of int type units that can be very good here. So Namek Goku is really, really solid. He is a potential leader you could use. There is a way here to build Legendary Existence Super Saiyan team. By the way, at the end of the video, if you stick around, I am going to show off a few team builds that could potentially get you through this event as well, that I put together once we go over all of these units. So stick around for that. We do have a Namek Goku team that I've built as well. So this guy's raising defense on his 12 key super, which is very nice because that means you can get multiple defensive stacks, and these are infinite stacks, they never go away. So for the first few phases, you can sit here and raise his defense a bunch. That way he can tank a little better during that final phase. I don't think that this guy's going to be able to eat a super attack from that Cell Max, but at least he won't be taking any damage from the normals, which is very good. So he launches an additional super attack within the same turn after receiving an attack, which normally is only useful if you put him in the first slot, because if he's in the second or third slot, then he won't get that ability off. But because the second phase has those AoE attacks, you can actually put this guy as, because here he's got a medium chance of launching an additional super attack as the second or third attacker in turn. You can actually put him as the second or third attacker, and then he can proc his chance to additional here. He can proc this chance to additional after receiving an attack from one of the AoEs, and then he can proc his hidden potential system additional as well. This guy can get up to 4 super attacks in one turn. So that's kind of insane. If you're able to get 4 defensive raises with him for a few different turns, his defense is going to start looking very, very impressive, and then he might be able to tank pretty decently in this event. So yeah, this guy can be very, very solid as well. Not to mention, even without getting the offensive raises, he's still going to be hitting for like 6-7 million. So that, that can be very, very good as well. He is going to be a very solid damage dealer against that final phase, having type advantage and everything too. So yeah, this guy can be very good, and he also has this Angry Kamehameha active skill. So, once you have that final phase down to low HP, 30% or less here, then you'll be able to use this Angry Kamehameha and potentially finish him off even, because this does a lot of damage. And then if you're using him as your leader, you'll have 2 of him on the team, so you'll have double the active skills there. Okay, so next up we've got the Dokkan Fest Int Majin Vegeta. Now, this guy is very, very solid defensively. He has, defense, so he's getting 30% damage reduction here if you have a Trunks on the team. So there aren't very many Trunkses that can be run in here. I would say the main Trunks that you'd want to use is like the AGL Super Saiyan 3 Trunks from Dragon Ball Heroes, because he has a high chance to guard. So that can help you out a lot. I think any other Trunks that you're going to bring is pretty much going to get you killed. On global, at least. Because you obviously have the Vegeta and Trunks, the Int Vegeta and Trunks, who's like the best unit in the game for this event on JP. And that buffs this Majin Vegeta a lot. But without him around, I think the only other Trunks that you can use is them. This guy can still be used without the Trunks. It just helps to have him, because then if you're able to get him his 6 orbs, while he's attacking in turn, then he gets the additional 20% damage reduction, which puts him at a total of 50. And once he's got that 50% damage reduction, he's untouchable. He's very, very good. And then he can also tank super attacks from the Cell Max, especially if you're able to raise his defense after supering. Then yeah, this guy can be very, very solid. He also has the active skill, which hits pretty hard. The downside of it being that he sacrifices the HP, but you can bring Senzu Beans into this event. That's the one item that you're allowed to bring, so you can potentially set that up to use your active skill, sacrifice the HP when your HP is already on the lower side, and then use the Senzu Bean to heal yourself all the way up. So that this isn't a burden for you. And then he also performs critical hits during that entire turn. So then his super attacks are going to be causing additional damage from guaranteed crits. So that can be very nice. This guy is another potential leader that you could use as well. You could definitely build a Majin Buu Saga Vegeta's Family team, for this event and do pretty well. And he's also got the 200% leader skill option there if you're bringing a bunch of other Vegeta cards. So that can be very nice. Okay, so next up we've got the Int Vegito here. This is one of the best units for this event, I think. He does alright before being transformed into the Vegito when he's just in the Goku and Vegeta phase. He's getting these attack and defense raises on Super, so that's nice. He's got pretty high stats at the start of turn. The main thing, though, is that he has a medium chance of evading. Medium crit, and then medium chance of evading built in, which is really, really nice. So, I guess that's a 30% chance. So having that 30% chance to evade is going to be very nice. Obviously, he doesn't get hit very hard in the first phase. In the second phase, though, he can get clapped up by some of those normal attacks coming from the AoEs. So if he hasn't yet super attacked to raise his defense, then he can get hit for a little bit of chip damage there. So this medium chance to evade can help out. And then obviously in the final phase, if he hasn't yet transformed, then that medium chance to evade can save you if he ends up dodging a super attack. So that can be really good. And then, another really good part about him is that starting from the 6th turn here, which you're definitely going to see the 6th turn in this event, right? Then he fuses. And once he fuses into Super Vegito here, he is fully recovering your HP, which is really, really nice because you're only you're limited to the 2 Senzu Bean items, and that's it, right? And then he's also reducing damage received for 30% for the first 3 turns after he transforms, which is really, really nice. And then just 15% starting from the 4th turn on, which can definitely be helpful. That will help him tank those normal attacks a little bit. And then he also counters the normal attacks with tremendous power, which is really, really solid. That can help you get a lot more damage done on that cell. The only thing is, though, I don't think that this guy can tank a super attack from Cell, so if he does get supered, then that can be very bad for you. So I wouldn't recommend putting him in front of a giant pile of attacks, just so that he can do all the counters, because if there is a super attack in there, then you're probably going to die. I would say even after getting the great defense raise from his Ultra Super, I don't know that he can tank that super. Maybe he could, barely tank it, but it would certainly take most or all of your health. But yeah, this guy can definitely be a really, really solid option. He's got a lot of utility. Next up, we've got the Namek Saga Exchange Vegeta and Goku here. This is a good option for a unit to run on the Majin Vegeta team. He'll be getting the 200% portion of the leader skill, being on Gifted Warriors there. So this guy can be really solid. He's a pretty straightforward unit. He's just got a lot of attack and defense. He is going to be hitting pretty hard. And then, another cool part about his kit, one of the main draws of using him is this right here. He's got this revive mechanic. So if you start the turn out with less than 29% HP, then he is going to revive with 70% HP, which is really, really nice. And I believe that this procs for any, or an ally attacking the same turn. So any of your units can get hit and then proc this revival. It doesn't have to just be this guy. So yeah, this can be a really, really solid safety net as well, especially if this goes off in that final phase against the tech cell. So that's pretty much all that this guy is good for there. And then, once he transforms into the Goku, he's still got a lot of attack and defense. He's getting the great attack and defense raises on his 18 key super, and then he also picks up a 30% damage reduction because you are going to be fighting an extreme class enemy. So yeah, this guy can be a really solid option as well. Okay, next up we've got the Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta here. So this guy is a little bit questionable defensively. He's got a mechanic here that I don't like very much. So in his passive here, he has 10% damage reduction built in, and then he gets an additional 10% with each attack received up to 30%, but it's within the same turn. So this goes away every single turn, and he has to rebuild it up, which means the first attack that he takes every single turn, he's only reducing damage received by 10%, which isn't that much. And because he doesn't raise attack and defense on his supers, he can get hit pretty hard. So this guy can definitely be a little bit questionable, but if he is able to fully build up that 40%, you know, if you're able to put him in front of a big pile of attacks and he gets hit like 5 or 6 times in the turn, then those last few hits are going to do like no damage. So that can be pretty good. But there is another really good draw of this character because he has a revive mechanic as well. So it's a little bit of an easier condition, I think, for this event because you only need to be below 50% HP, which is really nice, instead of like down below 29% like the other Vegeta card. And then the other condition to activate it is he needs to receive 7 or more attacks total, which is not too hard in an event like this, especially when that second phase has those AoE attacks. You're going to be taking quite a few attacks, even if you have him rotated off in the 3rd slot. By the time you get to that final phase, you should have taken 7 attacks with this guy, no problem. So yeah, this guy is a really, really solid option as well. And then he also has his active skill with the final explosion. And this one actually doesn't reduce your HP or anything, so that's nice. Oh, actually, one more thing I should mention about this guy is that he has high chance to crit built into his attacks, which can be very nice for that second phase, because against the physical enemies, if you have like mostly int type units, it takes a while to get through that physical phase. So those additional critical hits can definitely service you well. Okay, so next up we've got the UI Goku here, the int UI Goku. So this guy is really, really solid because he's going to be infinitely raising attack and defense. So that is going to help you out a ton. The infinite raises there are going to be very, very nice. So if you're able to, you know, stall out for those first few phases and get him a lot of defense raises, then his defense is going to be looking pretty good by the end. And then he also gets his little awaken once your HP goes below 50% there. And he's going to turn into the Master Ultra Instinct Goku. He continues to keep his stacking. The awesome part about when he transforms is that he has this. So he is going to guaranteed evade the enemy's attack for 1 turn after awakening. That can be so useful in that final phase against the Tech Cell Max there. And then after that turn, he'll just have a 70% chance for the rest of the fight, which is going to be still really reliable. So yeah, this guy can be very, very good for this event, I think. And then, you know, when he gets his transformation, he doesn't heal you or anything, but that can be good because there's a lot of other active skills and things like that that require you to be at a lower amount of HP, or like some of those revives we just looked at. So that is honestly kind of advantageous because he doesn't get in the way of those other units being able to proc their skills as well. Okay, so then we've got the Super Saiyan Xeno Vegeta here. This guy is really, really solid. He is greatly raising attack and defense every turn, which is so, so good, especially if you're able to get him some additionals in his hidden potential system. If he's doing double supers for you at all, by the time you get to that final phase, if you were able to stall out properly, you know, and basically only super attack with the units that need to stack, and then just do normal attacks with everyone else so that it takes you as long as possible to get through those first few phases. This guy can be upwards of like 600k, 700k defense, starting out at that Tech Cell Max phase. So this guy can be really, really good, especially on the Majin Vegeta team because he is on the 200% team, and he's providing 40% attack and defense and 2 ki to all Vegeta's family category allies. So yeah, this guy is really, really solid. He is definitely a good option. Don't sleep on him. Okay, so it looks like that was it for all the int units. We've got a few other sleeper options who are pretty solid here. So one unit I wanted to mention is the Tech Super Gogeta. So this guy can be really good because once you get his transformation there, yeah, he's basically just kind of average and solid before his transformation. He's not doing anything too impressive. But then after you get his transformation, he'll recover a little bit of HP there for you. And then he is also getting, what is it, this. So he's going to foresee the enemy super attack for 5 turns. That is really, really solid. A 5-turn scouter is going to be super helpful in this event, especially, you know, turn 4 is going to be around the middle of that physical phase, and then if you're able to finish off that physical phase quick enough, then you're going to get through, you know, maybe 2, hopefully 3 turns in that final phase against the Tech Cell Max and be able to see where his super attacks are going to be. That can make a huge difference, especially if you're using units on the team like the Int Hercule or the Tech Godku that can actually tank those attacks, or if you have a really, really strong dodging unit that can, you know, evade it, then, you know, it'll be good to know exactly where to put those units. So yeah, other than that, this unit doesn't have a ton of utility. He is a little bit dangerous defense-wise. He can get you killed, especially in that final phase. He certainly cannot tank a super attack, but having that scouter is super, super helpful. So that can be really, really solid. Okay, so then we've got AGL Pycon. This unit is a little bit interesting here. He's got a few pieces of his kit that I wanted to focus on for this. So the first thing is this, that he's got the high chance to evade. That is always good. That's going to last through the entire fight. So even though he's got type disadvantage, and if he gets hit by that final phase of Cell, he will absolutely get destroyed. This is one of those units that if he got hit by the super attack in the final phase, he'd probably take over 2 million damage. And if he gets hit by normals even, he's going to be getting hit for like 150k, 200k, something like that. Maybe even more. So the high chance of evading is pretty vital and probably the only reason that you can run him on this team. But it's nice that he has the little support passive as well if you're grabbing 3 or more key spheres. So, oh, and I should mention, you do need to collect a rainbow key sphere in order for him to get that high chance to evade each turn. But 1 rainbow key sphere, that's pretty easy to do. So, not a bad condition. And then the other really awesome part about his kit is his active skill here. So, he's got this active skill that allows him to delay a single enemy's attack for 1 turn. So it's just a Ghost Usher, basically. So once you get into that final phase, the first time that Pycon shows up, you'll be able to use a Ghost Usher and completely nullify all of Cell Max's attacks, so that you don't have to worry about taking a super, and it's an entire turn of free damage. So that can be really, really solid. And then if you are running him on, say, like a Movie Heroes team, which is probably where you should be running him, probably, you know, the best bet, then you're using, you know, the anniversary LRs, then you could potentially use this active skill, nullify his attacks, and then rotate him off so that he doesn't come back for 3 turns, and in those 3 turns, use like the LR Super Saiyan 4s and the LR Gods and a few other really, really hard-hitting units to completely flatten Cell, and you could end that entire phase in 3 turns before this guy has to come back at all. So that can be a really, really solid strategy for you too. Okay, so as I had just mentioned, another good unit is the LR Gods here. So obviously, this is kind of the perfect event for them, because they'll have the first few phases which don't hit very hard for them to be able to raise some stats a little bit, and then once you get into that final phase, you'll be able to transform them into the blue form, where they will have a medium chance to evade built in, and then they're going to be getting an additional 7% chance to evade per rainbow key sphere obtained. So they can be really, really solid. A good unit to depend on for dodging Cell Max's super attacks. Obviously, you know, RNG reliant, but you can run the event as many times in a row as you want. So that can be really, really good. And then, you know, they've got their active skill as well, which hits incredibly hard. And it makes all their attacks critical hits for the turn as well. So that is really good. You know, and then we've got the Super Saiyan 4s here as well. So similar deal, they will use the first few turns to, you know, get some stacks, raise their attack and defense, and then once you're able to transform them into Gogeta, they are going to be getting some additional damage reduction per Rainbow Key Sphere obtained, so that can be very nice. And what's awesome about them is they have a high chance of countering the super attacks. So if you are able to put them in the way of Cell Max's super attack, then they could potentially counter it, and you won't have to take any damage from it. If they do get hit by that super attack, I'm pretty sure they would die. I don't think that this unit can tank it, but having the chance to counter it is very, very nice. Okay, so then we've got the Tech Androids. This is a unit that could be pretty solid. Again, cannot tank Cell Max's super attack, but if you're able to get a lot of this stuff in their passive procced by selecting a lot of orbs, a lot of tech orbs, then their attack is going to be insane. They'll be hitting very, very hard. Their defense is going to be pretty solid as well. They'll definitely be able to tank normal attacks from that final phase at least. So that can be very good, but they also have the same passive or the same active skill as Pycon. They'll be able to delay a single enemy's attack and do the Ghost Usher effect. So that can be really, really solid as well. For winning against that final phase and just delaying his super attacks. Okay, so last up we've got actually another int unit. I put him at the back here because he was another android there. But yeah, so this guy can be really solid. This is the Super Strike Android 16 here. After getting his Easy A, he is a super just mean defensive unit. So you're getting 160% defense at the start of turn, and then an additional 80% because you're facing only one enemy. So that puts him up to, what, 240% defense? And then he also has a high chance of guarding all attacks when all allies attacking in the same turn are Android Cell Saga characters. So you do kind of have to use him on an Android team in order to get that portion of his passive to activate. And then he also reduces damage by 60% when Guard is activated. So one thing to note is that he is an int type unit. So in the final phase of the Cell Max event, you're actually not even going to need to worry about the high chance to guard because he has type advantage. So he has guard active against that unit 100% of the time, which means he's going to be proccing this 60% damage reduction as well. So this guy raises defense on his super attack, and he has 240% defense at the start of turn and 60% damage reduction. So he's going to be an absolute defensive monster against this event. That is going to be, quite an insane unit here. Definitely one of the more reliable units to use for sure. Okay, so that is all I have for all of these units. If you have some good ideas for teams that you think you can build out of these, units here and some of the other ones you've got laying around, by all means go for it. If you're still feeling a little bit lost because a lot of these units aren't quite cohesive and go well together, then stick around because now we are going to jump over to in-game real quick. Really quick here because we're almost at 30 minutes right now. And then we're going to go ahead and look at some teams that I have put together that I think could beat this event. So the first one I've got here is this Majin Vegeta team. So this one is very, very solid. Here we are featuring the AGL Trunks that I was just talking about. With his high chance to guard, he can be really good. So I think the main strategy with this team is to allow the Xeno Super Saiyan Vegeta and the Trunks to build up, because they've both got passives. We already showed off the Xeno Vegeta, so you've seen that he has the infinite stacking he's able to do. And this guy is able to raise his attack and defense by 30% for 9 turns. So that is really solid. And then he also is gaining some additional attack with each attack received and each attack performed there as well. So you're going to want to have him on rotation for the first few phases, and allow both of them to get off super attacks, and then just avoid getting super attacks with everyone else so that they can stack up as much as possible before you get into that final phase, and then you just go off. So you've got the Hercule here, who's able to defend very, very well. Majin Vegeta will be tanking very nicely, and then obviously these two guys are going to be hitting insanely hard, and they've got decent defensive capability as well. So the next team we've got is a Movie Heroes team here. Movie Heroes / Power Beyond Super Saiyan. So this team is very, very good. You're going to have access to the Tech Godku, who's going to be able to tank super attacks in that final phase. You've got the Tech Gogeta, who's going to give you the Scouter to be able to know where the super attacks are at. You've got the Pycon, who's going to be able to dodge as well as provide that Ghost Usher from his active skill. And then you've got the Int Gogeta, who has a high chance to counter. You've got the Physical Gogeta, who's got a high chance to counter. And then you've got the Tech LR Gods, who have some good dodging as well. So everyone here has some awesome defensive capability that they're able to put forth toward the team. Not to mention, there are quite a few hard hitters here as well, and some really, really strong active skill super attacks to dish out as well. So this team can be very solid. Okay, so then we've got this Legendary Existence team. This one can be kind of fun. I think this one would definitely be more difficult than the other teams that I just showed off. But again, you've got the Tech Godku here, so a very, very solid option. And then the Int UI Goku, who we went over, can be a very good option, especially after he transforms. And then, you know, we're repeating quite a few units here with the Int Vegito there. But then, you know, this is another team where I would say the best option is to just let the units stack that need to. The only problem here is that you've got 4 units that are going to need to stack, because you have the Namek Goku who's going to need to stack, the UI Goku needs to stack, the Broly needs to stack, and then the friend UI Goku needs to stack as well, or the friend Namek Goku. So those are going to be your like slot 1 and 2 units for the first few phases, and then once you get to the final phase, hopefully their defense will be built up enough. All of those units' defense will be built up enough that you can switch up your rotations and potentially rely on AGL UI Goku to dodge for you. Or, I suppose if the Int UI Goku is transformed at that point, then you wouldn't have to. And then the Tech Godku to be on rotation and tank. So yeah, this can be a really, really solid team as well. Actually, I kind of forgot to go over this Tech Broly. He is a really solid unit as well. He's getting some damage reduction in his passive, and he is also raising attack and defense infinitely, so that is really, really solid. He is another good unit to use as well. Okay, and then the last team that we've got here is this Android team. So we've got the, you know, the AGL Cell here. He can be pretty solid. He's going to have, like, medium chance to evade, pretty much, more or less. It gets a little more specific than that in his passive, but pretty much a medium chance to evade throughout this event. So he can be a decent unit. Obviously, he's going to get clapped up if he gets hit, but if he's able to dodge, then he can be really, really good for you. This is where you'd want to use those tech androids. And then, you know, we've got that Int Android 16 here as well. This would be a really, really good place to use him. The physical cell is going to be nice. He definitely won't be able to tank super well at, like, the very end. He'll be able to tank normals just fine, but he'll definitely get killed by a super attack. So you're definitely going to want to hide him later on in the event. I would say same deal with the Super 17. Once he gets his full damage reduction built up, then he'll be really solid defensively for the first part of the fight. And then he'll tank normals, I think, perfectly fine at the end. But because he has type disadvantage, I think even with the 70% damage reduction, he would still die from a super attack. And then you'll notice I have a blank spot here. That's because I actually don't have a copy of the unit that I wanted to show off there. So really quick, we'll go here, and I will show the unit right here. So this is the unit that I intend to be in that 6th slot. If you are going to use that team, this is probably who you would want to use, the physical Android 16 and 18. So they are really, really solid. Let's see, am I on the TUR? I am. Okay. Yeah, so they've got quite a bit of stats that they're going to have, as long as you've got a lot of HP. And really the best part about them is that they've got a medium chance of guarding all attacks when there is an extreme class ally attacking in the same turn, which obviously you will have access to on an Android team. So they could be really, really good, but you are going to have to depend on them to guard. And then they greatly raise their attack and defense on super attack. So they're only going to be tanking well if they're guard procs and if it's post super attack. So they can struggle a little bit, especially in that second phase where all the AoE attacks are happening, because there's a chance that they could get hit before they put off their super attack. And then, you know, obviously they're going to get hit a little bit hard there if they don't guard. So a little bit of RNG with this unit. Definitely, I would say a lot of RNG with that Cell team in general. But yeah, it is a potential option there for you if you did want to try out some of these tougher Android cards in this event. So yeah, there is a few teams to help you guys out. Hopefully that is a lot of helpful information. I hope that I would help you guys clear some of this event. I'm going to try and take my own advice and use one of those teams to get through this event. The main one that I have been using is that Majin Vegeta team so far. So we'll see if I have any luck. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any luck trying out any of these teams. You know, that'd be really cool to know that I was able to help somebody out beat this ridiculously hard event on Global, especially before the start of the Worldwide Download Celebration, where we're probably going to get some units that can clap through this event no problem, right? So that is everything I have for you guys. If you enjoyed what you saw, then consider being a part of the Toxic Tribe with a like, comment, and subscribe on the video. We are still going for that push for 77 subscribers, so smack that red subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. That is going to do it for this one, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.